join.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are across this beautiful country. And thanks so much for joining us today. It's been an exciting month in the Greener Homes program here at NRCAN. We celebrated our first anniversary just last week on May 27th, and we are looking forward to another exciting year with this program. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of you. You are really sort of the boots on the ground and our ambassadors for this program. So I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work and all the heavy lifting that you guys are doing with homeowners and in terms of getting the product in the market that we need to make this program a huge success. So thanks for joining, and thanks for all the hard work that you do each and every single day to support this initiative. So without any further ado, I also wanted to thank Loretta and Martin for all the hard work in organizing this webinar and getting it underway. And also wanted to introduce two of my teammates and colleagues, Kimberly Curran, who is the Deputy Director of the Housing and Communities Division here at NRCAN, and also Dana Farnescu, who is our Senior Technical Advisor here in Greener Homes Division. And just to let you know, I am Ruth Talbot, and I am the Senior Director responsible for the Greener Homes program here at NRCAN in the Office of Energy Efficiency. So with that, I'm hoping we can turn it over to Dana. So I think, as Lorena has mentioned, what we'll do is if we can let Dana get through the presentation, it's fairly detailed and fairly long. And then what we'll do is we will reserve any questions that you guys have about the presentation itself, and then maybe move on to any ideas that you guys have or any observations that you have about the program itself. So without any further ado, over to you, Dana. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Hello. Today, I would like to talk and explain to you how Canada Greener Homes Grant Initiative are putting together the eligible products list for our initiative. So next slide, please, Kim. The topics of discussions will be, we will touch on details on the eligible products list, the update timelines of this list, the process that we employ to create the eligible products list, how to identify if a product is eligible, and how to determine why a product is not eligible. Next slide, please. So these are the mechanical systems that we are incentivizing under our initiative. Air source and cold climate air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, and only for northern and off-grid communities, we are incentivizing gas-fired and oil-fired boilers and gas-fired and oil-fired furnaces. Next slide, please. So the updates of eligible products list happen twice a year, in June and in December. Brand owners and manufacturers and dealers are responsible for having their information reported to the data sources that we use to extract the data no later than May 1st and November 1st of each year. And also they are responsible to ensure that the reported information is correct. Next slide, please. So for air source heat pump and cold climate air source heat pump, we extract the data from two data sources. The first one is CE AHRAI directory. This directory is recognized by EPA. And here we extract the data for the Energy Star products. This directory is divided in two subdirectories. The first one is heat pump and heat pump coils, which includes the conventional centrally ducted systems. And the second one, variable speed, mini split, and multi-split heat pumps subdirectory. For cold climate heat pumps, we extract the data from the NIP listing. Next slide, please. So after we extract the data, we apply some filters. The first filter, of course, when we extract the data from Energy Star, we want to make sure that the Energy Star certification it's in place. The second one, we looked at the product status, and we include on our list only active and production stopped equipment. For the performance rating, we apply HSPF region 4, greater and equal than 10. And why do I say 4? Because these two data sources, they are listing the HSPF only for region 4, not for region 5. And the last filter that we apply, it's USA, Canada, that the product is sold in Canada or USA and Canada. We are not removing the products from our eligible products list. We just add continuously. Next slide, please. The following filters are the ones that we apply on the products that we extract from the NIP listing. So the product status must show as live. HSPF region 4, again, greater or equal than 10. The capacity maintenance at maximum minus 15 degrees Celsius over the rated at 8.3 degrees Celsius must be greater and equal with 70%. The coefficient of performance at maximum capacity operation at minus 15 degrees Celsius must be greater or equal than 1.8. Must be a variable capacity, and again, the product must be sold in Canada or US or Canada. Next slide, please. There are some additional program requirements for a heat pump to be eligible on our initiative. Besides the performance rating, a heat pump must be installed by a licensed and trained professional, like a refrigeration and air conditioning mechanic. Heat pump system must be capable of distributing heat throughout the entire conditioned space in the house, including the basement, where the distance from the top of the floor slab to the bottom of the ceiling joist is 1.8 meters or higher. Next slide, please. A minimum of one warm air supply outlet or indoor head is required on every floor, including each level of a split level mezzanine level of each dwelling unit in the building. And more than one warm air supply outlet and or indoor head per floor may be required to ensure heat distribution in the entire building. This is, of course, based on the HVAC contractor decision when he decides and select the equipment. And all equipment must be purchased in Canada. Next slide, please. We have some additional guidance. So heat pumps for which a grant is provided can be a first-time installation of a heat pump system or a replacement of an existing heat pump system. The heat pump system can work as a standalone system or in conjunction with an existing backup heating system. However, it's important to mention that the backup system is not eligible for the grant. Only the heat pump component, the indoor and outdoor coil, will be eligible. Based on the house as a system, the design should account for the anticipated heat requirements based on other planned energy efficiency upgrades to the building envelope in order to avoid oversizing the unit. Very recently, we released new guidance stating that 2-unit residential buildings, including homes with secondary suites, are eligible for heat pump incentives. However, MERBs with more than 2 units are not eligible for the heat pump incentives. Next slide, please. So how are the incentives applied for air source heat pumps? They're very simple. If the heat pump it's qualified under the heat pump or heat pump coil of the CEHRI directory, the incentive will be $4,000. If a centrally ducted unit is cold climate certified, the incentive will be $5,000. For variable speed, mini split and multi-split heat pump systems, the incentives are based on the number of indoor heads, warm air supply outlets. So the incentives, they are not based on the number of outdoor units, rather on the number of indoor units. And why do we mention here warm air supply outlets? because as you all know, some of the products, mini-split, multi-split systems, they are also ducted units as well. So 2,500 if two heads or warm air supply outlets are installed and the system is listed as a Greener Homes Energy Star unit. 2,500 if two heads warm air supply outlets are installed and the system is listed as a Green Homes Cold Climate unit. 4,000 if three or more heads warm air supply outlets are installed and the system is listed as a Green Homes Energy Star unit. And 5,000 if three or more heads warm air supply outlets are installed and the system is listed as a Green Homes Cold Climate unit. I would like to mention that combination of mixed non-ducted and ducted units are allowed in our initiative. Next slide, please. Well, we received many inquiries from homeowners and from HVAC community as why the heat pump is not on the Canada Green Homes Grant eligible product list. So this can happen because of a couple of reasons. The first one, this product was never reported by the manufacturer or brand owner to one of the two data sources where we extracted the data. So if the product is not in the Energy Star CE/HRAI directory or in the NEEP listing, will never make it to our list. Number two, the Energy Star or NEEP status expired. Manufacturer, brand owner did not renew the certification. Again, therefore, not being on the Energy Star or NEEP listing, they will not make it to our list. Number three, one of the performance criteria does not meet the more stringent Greener Homes criteria. And for example, the HSPF region 4 is less than 10, or the COP coefficient of performance is less than 1.8, or the most often that we see in case of cold climate, the capacity maintenance of the product is less than 70%. Another one is that when we extract the data, as I mentioned, we apply some filters and we capture only products that they show sold in Canada. If the product is listed as sold in USA only on one of the data sources that we use, we'll never make it to our list. And the last one, if the product was added by the manufacturers and brand owners to the two data source directories after we perform the extraction, again, will not make it to our list until the next time when we generate the new list. In this case, for example, we did the extraction on December 10th for the February update. Now we are working on the June update. So if it was not included in the February one, will probably, and if it meets the eligibility criteria, will show on the June list. Next slide, please. Also, we have a lot of questions. Why there are heat pumps units that they are centrally ducted, listed with no furnace as part of the eligible combination? So the reason is why, because the systems that we have to capture on our list can be a single package unit. And as you know, the single package unit, they have the indoor and outdoor components and the fan component in one cabinet. Therefore, they also don't have an indoor unit listed either. Or the system is in fact a centrally ducted unit, but it's paired with an air handler rather than a furnace. I would like to note that none of the listed Canada Green Homes Grant conventionally centrally ducted heat pump products consist of an indoor and outdoor unit combination only. Either they are paired with a furnace or they are paired with an air handler. Next slide, please. Here there are some samples from our searchable products directory showing the single package units. And as you can see, they are very easy to identify. using the AHRI classification. HSPF-A stands for single package unit. Then we have the conventional split systems that they are paired with an air handler. Again, they show no furnace. And next slide, please. And here is a sample of a conventional split system that are listing all three components, outside model, inside model, and the furnace. And just for your understanding that these products, they are tested as such by manufacturers and reported as such to HRAI, Energy Star, NIP, etc. Next slide, please. We also receive questions, why the mini and multi-split heat pumps, they show no indoor unit. In those cases, those units, they are in fact variable mini multi-head units or variable multi-split units. And any compatible combination of indoor units connected to the listed outdoor unit will yield the same performance rating. Therefore, manufacturers, they are not listing the indoor units that they are compatible with that specific outdoor unit. The HRAI type will indicate if the paired indoor units are in fact all non-ducted, all ducted, or mixed ducted and non-ducted units. Next slide, please. And here is a sample again from our searchable database of multi-split. And I think if you look at the AHRI classification, the letter M will clearly identify this product as a multi-split. And as you can see, the dash O will indicate that the indoor units connected to this outside model, they are all non-ducted. Next slide, please. Another product that we are incentivized under Canada Green Homes Grant Initiative are ground source heat pumps. The data source that we use for extracting the data is in fact the regulatory database. And if you want more information, you can find it under Division 3, Subdivision A on the regulatory requirements. And it's important to note that in Canada, only water-to-air and brine-to-air systems are regulated. Therefore, these are the ones eligible under our initiative. DX, water-to-water and brine-to-water systems are not regulated, therefore not eligible. We do not apply any filters during the extraction. Here in this table are listed only the regulatory requirements for performance rating under our regulations. Next slide, please. And why the ground source heat pump is not on the eligible products list? Again, either not reported by the manufacturer or the brand owner to NRCAN as a regulated product. It can be either a DX or a water-to-water or brine-to-water system, or is reported to NRCAN after the extraction date. Again, as I mentioned, the last extraction was done in December 2021. Next slide, please. Sorry, this slide should have been in another place. So another thing that we receive is, the heat pump is eligible, but yet no, the homeowner did not receive any incentives. And the possible causes can be because incorrect information was entered in the invoice by the HVAC contractor, such as make and model are missing from the invoice, or they enter only the make of the outdoor unit, but no information about the indoor unit. In order for us to validate if the entire heat pump system is eligible, we need to have both make and model of indoor and outdoor units as well. The incorrect HRAI number is entered on the invoice by the HVAC contractor. I saw in many cases when the HVAC contractor entered on the invoice incorrect performance ratings like HSPF of 9.3. And when we use the indoor and outdoor make and model information and on our searchable product list, we were able to identify that in fact the product was eligible and met our criteria. So it's very important that in order to include the appropriate information. And by the way, by including all this information on the invoices will speed up the processing time at our end on issuing incentives because the validation of these products will be done faster by having all the information included in the invoice. Another possible cause why the incentive might not be triggered is because initially the energy advisor might model incorrectly the heat pump in HOT 2000, but now we have a new process put in place using the Canada Greener Homes Grant Submission portal, which they are easily identified and immediately corrected by the energy advisors. Next slide, please. Another product that we incentivize under our initiatives are heat pump water heaters. Here we use as the data source the Energy Star directory directly from the Energy Star website. And the only filter that we apply during our extraction is to ensure that the product is sold in Canada. The table below illustrates just the Energy Star, the current Energy Star criteria for heat pump water heaters. This is the next slide, please. For northern and off-grid communities, we incentivize boilers. Again, we use the Energy Star directly from the Energy Star website. And the filters that we apply are, again, sold in Canada. And we do have more stringent AFUE requirements. And for oil-fired units, the AFUE must be greater and equal than 87%. And for natural gas and propane, AFUE must be greater and equal than 90%. Next slide, please. Furnaces, again, data source Energy Star website, and the filters applied sold in Canada. And we do have more stringent AFUE requirements for oil-fired. The AFUE greater and equal with 95%, and natural gas propane AFUE greater and equal than 97%. Next slide, please. So again, why all these products are not eligible? The same thing, never reported by manufacturer or brand owner to the Energy Star data source. The Energy Star status expired by manufacturer and they were not renewed. Or the product was added to the Energy Star data source after we completed our extraction. Next slide, please. And that's it. This concludes my presentation today. So we are open for questions.
Hi, Ruth. It's Loretta again. Why don't I ask some of the questions that are in the Q&A in the chat section? I'm not too sure if you could see that as well. And I'll ask the questions, and if any one of you want to just pop in and answer, that would be wonderful. Does that sound okay?
Sounds perfect, Loretta. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question from Paul Davidson. How quickly can you add new products to the qualifying list of products once they are sent to you by a manufacturer?
Can I answer this question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so again, the products, they are not sent to us by manufacturers. We have that, as I explained before, they are sent to either CEHRAI or to NIP. Okay. We just go, when we extract the data, we agree on a date after May 1st, and we just go and download the data, all the data in one day for all the products from those two data sources. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to confirm there. So it is the responsibility of the manufacturer to get those products on those source lists. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. Okay.
Okay, we have something from Michael Blythe. When will the list be updated for June 2022?
So we don't have an exact date, but we hope that before the end of June, it will be, that's our plan, before the end of June, the list will be updated.
Okay. Okay, we have are grants taxable on your income?
So know that the grants are not taxable on a homeowner's income.
Okay. We have another one here from Stephen Magneron. Why are heat pumps not eligible for MERBs with 3 or more units?
Kim, did you want to take that one?
Sure, I'll do my best. So it kind of goes in layers. The Greener Homes program uses the NRCAN rating system to do a pre and a post audit for a homeowner. The pre and post audits for homeowners have certain specifications and qualifications for the energy advisors. It is a difficult item to kind of apply a single grant to a single homeowner in a multi-unit MERB. And so at the time of launch for the program, we chose to, at best, we certainly actually at the beginning said that multi-unit residential buildings, which are MERBs for anybody who doesn't know the acronym, would only, would not apply for heat pumps. But then we realized that there's a lot of homes out with secondary suites, which would really normally be considered MERBs. And so we made an exception for those homes with secondary suites, broadened the perspective for the program and said, yes, we can manage to think about it for 2 homes, but that whole home needs to be covered, right? So it is, so as we get into more and more complicated situations, yes, we want to be flexible, but the early stages of the program were that we limited ourselves to 2 units for the program. We're working on it. We're thinking about it. It's not something that it is lost on us, and we know that it could be helpful, especially with the growing number and proportion of homes in multi-unit residential buildings. But for now, it is limited to 2. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, I have something. One of the participants is asking if we can go back to slide 5 again, where when the lists will be updated each year. So if you can just run that.
One more, Kim, one more. Next slide. Yeah. Before, you have to go the other direction. One more.
Okay, Dana, I'm on slide 7. So you want me to go to slide 6?
No, 5. The gentleman asked for slide 5.
I was on 5. There's 5.
That one more.
4.
Yes, that's
perfect.
Okay. 4.
Excellent. Yep. Perfect.
Okay. How many applications have been received to date, and how many have been approved to date?
Okay, so this overall applications in the program, I'm assuming. So right now in what we refer to as the national portal. So homeowners outside of Quebec and Nova Scotia apply through the national portal, just for context. So in the national portal, we have about 170,000 applications that are live. And within that, we have about close to 10,000 homeowners who have completed what we call their homeowner journey. So they've cashed out at the end. And we've issued payments in the order of about 34 million to date. So in Nova Scotia and Quebec, we know that we have somewhere close to about 50,000 applications in that space, and we are issuing payments to those homeowners as well. I hope that answers the question. But just to let you all know as well, we had issued a winter update with numbers in terms of where we were at back in January, and we will be issuing a spring update shortly as well. So those numbers will be posted on the website as part of the spring update. But that's where we are right now.
Okay, I have another question. I'm going back and forth from the chat and the Q&A, just so everybody knows. So I'm trying to answer both, or get to both, I should say. I have another question here. What if there are 4 floors, example, side split or finished attic of a 2-story house? Don't know if you can answer that question.
So yes, so if it's a side split, if we talk about ductless units, I assume we talk about ductless units, we will require a head on each split level. And I think that was included in the presentation.
Yes. And also, the person was also asking, when is Zero Finance available?
So that's a great question. So as everyone knows, the loan companion piece to the grant program was announced as part of the fall economic statement back in 2020. And it was reiterated in budget 2021 last summer. So we are expecting the loan program to launch soon, but can't provide a date just yet, but it will be soon.
Okay.
Loretta, can I add something to the
Sure.
previous answer?
Absolutely.
The gentleman asked also about the finished attic. So we will require a head in each and every area. I don't want to say in each and every area, but if the attic is a conditioned space and it's a level by itself, a head will be required there as well.
Okay.
If it's a level, yeah, if it's a conditioned space. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take a question here from the Q&A section. Does production stopped affect eligibility for future? It's possible. No.
So we do include production stop. Production stop, my understanding is talking with different manufacturers means that there is still stock of that product in Canada. And if there is no stock anymore, it will be listed as delisted. So if it's production stop, will still be included on our lists.
Okay. Okay. I have another question here. I'm going to go to the chat section now. Does existing backup heating system in conjunction with AHSP system need to be on or aligned with approved list, or just the air source heat pump system? For example, oh, sorry. He just put an example, installing a central vent heat source, air source heat pump.
I understand what he wants.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
understand what he wants.
Okay.
So as you know, that the performance rating is determined based on the testing of different components of a heat pump system. In case of a centrally ducted systems, the components are made of the indoor coil, outdoor coil, and the fan component. And the fan component, in case of a furnace, it's enclosed in the furnace cabinet. And for this reason, all three must be tested together, and the performance rating is listed as such on even on the HRAI. If you go to the HRAI directories, Energy Star, etc. Manufacturers, they do have the option to test only the indoor and outdoor coil, but in many cases, those systems, they do not, because not including the fan component, they have to, let's call it, dumb down the performance of those two components, and therefore yes, they might be on the HRAI directory, but with a lower performance rating, therefore they will not make it to our list. So that's all that I have to say. So yes, they have to. If they show as all three, they all three must be compatible and listed as such.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the Q&A section. What are water-to-water heat pump? Why are water-to-water heat pumps not considered for the program? And what do you mean that they are not regulated? They're stating that they are AHRI certified. Anybody want to take that question?
I can answer that.
Sure.
So as Deputy Director for Homes and Communities, just for the nuance between us, the Homes and Communities Division is where the equipment standards and regulations for residential equipment sit. And so we manage those. And in so doing, we have chosen to regulate certain categories of products, but we have not regulated others. And as a result, we look to those regulated products for the program. And again, in early days of the program, we have looked to what have we certified, where do we have specifications. And for now in Canada, there is no, there may be in Ontario, but for a federal standard, because remember, this is a federal program and it's applied across the country. So we need to find something that fits every place across the country. There is no federal standard for water-to-water heat pumps. As a result, they are not yet included in the program. That'll be a conversation for later. Right now we're talking about status quo items, but that is why that's what we mean by not regulated. AHRI is a certification body. It publishes lists, but it is not the regulator. It does not set the standards. It might adopt standards. It might even create test procedures, and it might provide certification to those test procedures. But for Canadian regulations and federal regulations, those regulations are set by the federal authority, which is the authority in the Homes and Communities Division at this time. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, I have another question from the chat. Why can you not put a low static ducted unit on a multi-zone? Is it only available as a single zone, even if the multi-zone is technically qualifies?
I'm afraid I didn't understand the question. We do have compact ducted units eligible on our product list. So, I'm pretty sure that this question can be answered, in fact, by manufacturers. From my understanding is that you can pair those compact ducted units on a multi-split configuration, even with non-ducted or other ducted components. But this question should be posed to a manufacturer.
Okay, I have another question here from Sandy Hines. In Nova Scotia, if the heat pumps are on your list, will they receive the grant, provided we meet all the requirements, but the equipment is not on Efficiency Nova Scotia's list? Anyone want to take that one?
I think, Dana, the nuance there might be the Energy Star versus the cold climate list.
So, Kimberly, do you want me to just, I can maybe start.
Go ahead.
Respond to that question. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. So the way we launched the program was that we had a heat pump list, a product list for Quebec and Nova Scotia specifically, and then a heat pump list for the rest of Canada. That's the way we started the program. Now the way it's working is if your heat pump qualifies in the Nova Scotia program, Nova Scotia has aligned their requirements with ours. So, you know, we should work together. But there is, sorry, I was just going to say there is a category that does not apply in Nova Scotia and Quebec. And maybe Dana, if you'd like to add those details.
Yeah, in Quebec and Nova Scotia, only cold climate certified heat pump units are eligible. So Energy Star, they are not eligible. So I think the question was, if they qualify under our program and they don't qualify under the Nova Scotia, will they still receive the grant? So I think this depends on how the federal and the Nova Scotia programs, they are aligned.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the Q&A section now, and I'll go back to the chat in a moment. We have someone who's asking about asking for clarification exactly what the contractor should list in the invoice.
For definitely, for sure, all the components of a heat pump system: indoor coil, make and model; outdoor coil, make and model. Please ensure that the HRAI number that you list there, or unique identifier, if it's CSA certified, it's included on the invoice. If it's a hybrid system where, let's say, a furnace is involved as well, please include the name of the furnace, even if it's existing or not, and even if it's not eligible for incentive, because this will make our life easier to identify the right product. Sometimes it's very important to have all this information, even if the product is eligible, to ensure that, you know, the appropriate grant is triggered. And the number of indoor heads installed. If there are multiple indoor heads, of different types. Please list in detail the the make and model of each indoor head installed. Yeah, as much information as you think that can help us in order to speed up the review and determine the eligibility of a product and to be easily identified on our lists.
So the last thing I will add, just sorry, Loretta, about that one, is that the program is working on developing model invoices, just so that it's clear to everybody. Like, processing payments for Canadians, we are trying to do as quickly as possible, and the better the information is presented by by the contractor, the better. So we will be developing model invoices, which we will share with everyone, just to give everybody a better sense of exactly what type of information we're looking for, so it's super clear for everybody. Thanks so much.
May I add something?
Sorry, Dana, maybe you're going to add the same thing I am. Please go ahead.
I just want to add that just as advice, if an HVAC contractor is quoting on equipment, in order to ensure that it's eligible under the Greener Homes Grant Initiative, please consult our list first before the installation occurs, because if the system is not on our list, the installed system is not on our list, the homeowner will not be eligible. Yes, sorry, Kim, that's all that I wanted to add.
No, that's great. I think that's really clear. One thing I was going to suggest and add as well is be mindful that what you do put on there is accurate as well. If you add items that you're not sure about, and to Dana's point about kind of checking the list, the Greener Homes eligible model list, don't guess at what the performance is, for example, or don't use an old performance on there, because those performance criteria are very specific. And if it turns out that you list a performance, but the model actually has a different performance, you might find yourself with a homeowner who is navigating a situation where the invoice is not, is maybe ambiguous in terms of the eligibility of the unit. So stick to your knitting, keep only what you need on there. Like Ruth said, we're going to have some sample invoices for that, and use the eligible model list to consult the data that should be included. Hope that helps.
Okay, so I have another question here. Why not extract from NEEP every 3 months instead of just twice a year? It says NEEP. I'm not sure if it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
the co-climate.
Yeah, so I think, I'll take this one for the team. We are continuing to refine our processes in this program. It's possible that in the future we may cultivate these lists more frequently. But for now, we're just trying to get everybody organized around the collection that we're doing twice a year. We may choose to increase the frequency in future, but I think, a number of people are already challenged with the situation currently. So I think we are just, waiting to ensure we've got a smooth process before we apply this process more frequently throughout the year. But we've certainly heard this from a lot of people, and it's something that's being considered by the program.
Okay, so I have another question here. If a qualifying indoor furnace was installed 2 years ago, will the installation on qualifying heat pump and indoor evaporator coil being added to the existing furnace qualify for the rebate? These 3 items would be on your list for qualifying rebate.
Yes, it will, because we incentivize only the indoor and outdoor coils, not the furnace. But at the same time, all 3 components must be compatible and listed on our eligible product list. If the existing furnace with the new indoor and outdoor coil, they are listed, the homeowner will be eligible. Of course, providing that meets the other eligibility requirements under our initiative.
Okay, I have something from David Kim. Will NRCAN qualification specs change for air source heat pumps as per the new MEPS 2.0 efficiency?
Could you repeat the question, please? I think it's coming to me.
Yeah, will NRCAN qualification spec change for air source heat pumps as per the MEPS 2.0 efficiency?
M1, they're talking
Yeah.
about M1, Kim.
Right, okay. So the answer is stay tuned. We are actively working on looking at what's going on in the US in terms of their regulatory requirements, which come into place and required as of the 1st of January 2023. I think, as Dana says, that's the application of a new test procedure by the DOE. It uses what's called an M1 test procedure, so it's a different way of testing. Therefore, the new MEPS for the minimum energy performance standard will also change. It has an HSPF2 now it's called. So all of those pieces are changing. In addition, so is the Energy Star changing, and we have a task group internally where we're looking at that for the Greener Homes program, and we'll be coming back with an update in the fall.
Okay, we have another question here. What is the average time frame for homeowners to receive their grant once submitted?
Okay, I can take that one. It's Ruth. So, once all the paperwork has been validated and the homeowner accepts their grant, the amount of their grant payment, then the program has a 40-day period to issue the check. I can say that that 40-day period is being hit almost all the time, with very few exceptions. So homeowners are getting paid within 40 days. And in most cases, I would say much more quickly than that.
Okay. I have another question here. Is Greener Homes planning on adjusting the new Energy Star guidelines for heat pumps and cold climate?
So that's related to the answer I gave a moment ago. So hopefully my answer answers that question. I can reiterate it to say, yes, the new Energy Star guidelines are under consideration for how we move forward in the fall with the Canada Greener Homes grant initiative list.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the chat here. Could you please explain again that the furnace replacement is eligible or not? The heat pump couldn't work below -20. We have this issue in Alberta. Maybe we need to leave that one.
I'm afraid I didn't understand the question. Why the furnace is not eligible? Because the heat pump cannot work in lower temperatures. That was the question.
Yeah, it's it's actually part of a different comment that was made earlier, meaning that the heat pump is not working in Alberta. Maybe we have to get back to that question.
I think that probably the person who asked the question is wondering as why we do not incentivize furnaces. I think that was, the quintessence of the question.
Yeah. So I think there's maybe two aspects to the question there. This is Ruth. So we only incentivize furnaces in off-grid communities, and those communities are very, very clearly delineated on the website. But we do recognize that in some situations, furnaces are used as backup because heat pumps cannot address those cooler temperatures. But that is the way our program is working.
Okay. I have another question. Who can people call to talk about eligibility of products? Who on your team? So the question is, if we have any questions or concerns about eligible products, is there a contact email or phone number that we can call?
Yeah, so we encourage people to reach out through the generic inbox, and then those questions will get filtered to the right people. So there is we can certainly share after the webinar, if you haven't seen already on the website, there is a generic inbox. So we do filter that inbox regularly on a daily, hourly, almost minute by minute basis. So just send your questions there and they will be sent to the right people.
Is it too late to submit units for the July 1st update? May 1st was the deadline, but looks like the extraction was done.
Yeah, the extraction was already completed.
Yeah.
And we are just right now in process of analyzing and compiling the data, but the extraction was already completed.
Okay, I'm just sort of going through some of these chats. Some of them are repeated questions. Let's see here. If an HVAC contractor completed the room by room calculation compatible with the F280 code, and the calculation shows an extra head is not needed in I think this is getting very technical, of a
No,
small
okay.
house, is it still required to consider a head in that floor?
So the distribution of heat versus the load requirements, they are two different things. So I don't know how to answer that question. It's up to I mean, our requirement, as I said, is minimum one head per floor, providing that we have whole house distribution of the heat. So if the HVAC contractor decides that on that specific level only one head is required, it's up to him. But for us, we require on minimum one head on each level, including basements, where the height from the top of the slab to the bottom of the ceiling joist is 1.8 meters or higher. I hope that answers the question.
If I could add, Dana, I think I'm just going to reiterate something Dana said. There's a difference between a load, which the F280, kind of provides guidance to do, and the distribution of heat. So those two things need to work together. I can't imagine that there wouldn't be a system out there that couldn't do both.
Okay. We're coming up to 12:55. I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I possibly can. I have another question about federal regulations for water-to-water geothermal heat pumps. They're asking if boilers are allowed on the Northern program. Why are water-to-water heat pumps not allowed to replace existing oil or propane boilers?
Okay, so I think there's a couple of nuances. It's Kim speaking here. One is the Northern program, as Ruth mentioned, it's a very clearly delineated area. The reason we were allowing, kind of furnaces and boilers, which are regulated federally, so that's a second nuance. In these areas is because we were concerned with accessibility and kind of increasing electrical demand in areas that maybe not on the full North American grid. If someone is not on mute, if you could just turn yourself on mute, that would be really great. So the first, I think I've answered in both cases, the boilers and furnaces are regulated. The water-to-water heat pumps are not regulated, therefore they do not have a broad standard applied across federally, and they would require electricity. So, there's kind of two nuances going on there, and I think the circumstances are different for the application of those products.
Okay, I have a question. Will the end of the program be determined by budget or date?
I can take that one. Anyone's guess? I mean, the program, as you know, is scheduled to end, March 31st, 2027. Whether we run out of money before we run out of laneway or ramp is anyone's guess at this point. I mean, we are at a point now where I think we're hovering around 25-30% range in terms of applications. So, it's a good question, but it's not one I can answer.
Okay, and I have, well, we're coming up to 12:58. I'm going to try to get through a few more here. How does the approval team decide if the heat pump system is designed appropriately, such as that of a system that can meet the home's heating load for the majority of the heating system? Is it based on percentage of heating degree days where it meets the load requirement?
No, I just want to, sorry, Loretta, I just want to again clarify. Well, we do not have load requirements, sizing load requirements for our program. Has warm air distribution requirements, not load requirements. So again, our eligibility criteria states that the heat pump system must be able to distribute heat to the entire house. In many cases, it's not recommended to size a heat pump at full load because the heat pump might be oversized. So depending on the sizing strategy employed by the HVAC designer, contractor, but again, to answer, we do not have load requirements.
Okay.
It's just distribution requirements. And we have energy advisors that they perform pre and post retrofit evaluation, and they have guidance how to identify if the heat pump system it's able to distribute heat to the entire house, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier.
Okay. Okay, so we're coming up to 12:59. We still have a few questions. I was wondering, Ruth, if it would be possible to pull these questions off and maybe hand them off to your group to see if we can get some answers to it and send this out to our registrants and attendees today. Is that possible?
Hi, Loretta. Thank you
Yep.
so much for that. Yeah, absolutely. We will answer as many of your questions as we can. I can't necessarily commit to getting responses back today necessarily.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah. But we'll do the best we can. And thank you everyone for your questions and for your interest in this program, for sure.
Okay, then. Well, I think we'll end this, the communication. Thank you so much to everyone for attending. We really appreciate Ruth and your team for participating. And if anyone has any questions, we will have, actually, Dana, if you can give me the email address, I can send that out to the group so that they could contact that email and get their answers to the questions. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be signing off.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone.